Ladies and gentlemen, to present the Arthur Ashe Award for Courage, it's my honor to introduce Oprah Winfrey.
It is human nature to judge the value of our lives by the strength of our accomplishments. But too often, we all focus only on what we can see, what's right in front of us. We really have no way to measure the effect that we have on others, especially those people we never actually meet. Like a pebble tossed into a lake, sometimes one small selfish action can ripple in all directions, affecting loved ones and strangers alike. Tonight, we celebrate the accomplishments of two ordinary men who dealt with extraordinary challenges, Jim McLaren and Emmanuel Owusu Yeboah. Both embody the courage and spirit that Arthur Ashe set forth years ago. They are living examples that the most powerful thing any one of us can do is to empower each other. Faced with tragedies that would destroy most people, Jim and Emmanuel did more than just survive, they thrived. They refused to live their lives as passive victims. Instead, they erased the word impossible from their vocabulary. From their choices came action, and from that action came hope. In having the courage to choose life, Jim McLaren and Emmanuel Owusu Yeboah continue to give new life to those around the world who need it most.
Theirs is an improbable story. Two men from different continents and different cultures who would forever be united in friendship, spirit, and purpose.
Each of us, whether it was a choice at all moments or not, tried to rise to the top of every situation we were in, many times out of just pure survival.
In the fall of 1985, 22-year-old Jim McLaren was a 6'5", 300-pound Yale All-American athlete and aspiring actor. His future was as unlimited as his ambitions.
It's October in New York City. I was on my motorcycle and it was just an evening that felt full of possibilities. And the next thing I remember was waking up naked in a hospital 8 days later after being in a coma. I was hit by a 40,000-pound New York City bus, dead on arrival. They actually chalked my body on the street. After all the internal injuries and all that happened, ultimately all that really happened was I was missing my left leg below my knee.
Jim's body would be liberated by his courageous spirit. After transforming his muscular build into the lean frame of a long-distance runner, he became the fastest one-legged endurance athlete on the planet, breaking the marathon world record in 3 hours and 16 minutes and setting the world record in the Ironman triathlon. He routinely finished in the top third of all contenders in every race he entered.
And it hit me, I thought, wow, I'm back in it. I'm back in life.
Here he comes, Jim McLaren!
Got onto my bike and a couple of miles into the bike ride on a closed course, and I see the grill of a black van coming directly into me. And, you know, the whole world slows. He struck my back wheel, and I was thrown from my bicycle and went headfirst into a signpost and broke my neck. And then I get to the hospital, and a doctor said, "You're a quadriplegic, and you're never gonna move or feel from the chest down for the rest of your life. A buddy of mine came to see me from Yale, and I remember I just rolled over and looked at him and I said, you know, I don't know if I can do this again. Because I didn't.
Jim McLaren was faced with a choice: to lose himself to his body or learn to live beyond it. What he couldn't know was that decision would affect the life of a boy who would one day change a nation.
I believe that right now, people or disabled people in Ghana, they don't have their freedom.
When Emmanuel Ofosu-Yeboah was born without a tibia in his right leg, his mother Comfort was advised to kill him. In Ghana, a disabled baby is considered a curse and is either poisoned or left in the forest to die. The lucky ones are hidden away until they can make their way to the streets, where they'll spend the rest of their lives begging. Comfort Yeboah made a choice. She would keep her son alive and teach him to transcend all limitations. Every day she carried her son 3 miles to and from school. There, Emmanuel was ostracized, and when he was turned away from the soccer team, he stood his ground. Earning $1 a day shining shoes, he bought his own ball and offered it to his classmates on one condition: they had to include him on the team.
He never lets no get in the way. He never lets anybody define his limits.
Emmanuel's drive was as boundless as his vision, and when his mother died, he chose to honor her life and the lives of Ghana's 2 million disabled by showing the world that people with disabilities can contribute to society. He took his mission to the streets by first writing a letter to the Challenged Athletes Foundation asking for a bike. The organization was founded for Jim McLaren.
What is a silver lining in Jim McLaren's accidents is what has come out of it. Because of the accident, Emmanuel Ofosu-Yeboah in Ghana finds out about the Challenged Athlete Foundation and sends that packet that changes his life and the destiny of his nation.
So on one leg for 10 days and nights, he rode 600 kilometers through pain, rejection, and the most unforgiving obstacle of all, hundreds of years of prejudice. But somewhere along that road, Emmanuel would not just be seen, he'd be heard, earning the respect of his fellow villagers, chiefs, and Ghana's most influential king.
He has brought hope. Emmanuel has tenacity and endurance, and he has a strong heart to do the things that he's doing and to use what he has done as an example for people.
Both Emmanuel and I, even though to the world we look different, we speak differently, it is not a stretch to say that this man, he's my brother.
I read about Jim and I said, wow, I have to meet this guy. And this guy is one of my biggest inspiration.
From my so-called tragedy, this gift comes from all the way across the Atlantic. I don't think it's too way out there to say maybe I was supposed to break my neck.
Jim McLaren was told he'd never move again. His doctors only considered the severity of Jim's injuries, not the strength of his will. After enduring thousands of hours of painful rehab, he stunned and inspired all who knew him. His doctors call him a living miracle. The same foundation created for Jim is now helping Emmanuel take some powerful steps of his own. Last year, Emmanuel rallied his countrymen to help him build and distribute 800 free wheelchairs, giving mobility to those who never dared imagine it. Today, he is planning construction of a sports academy, one that welcomes all but employs only the disabled. And one day, he hopes to give Ghana's disabled the strongest voice he knows, his own.
I want to run as a member of parliament in Ghana. 10 years' time, I believe that I won't see any disabled person in the street begging. I believe that 10 years' time, through me, Ghana will change.
Jim McLaren and Emmanuel Fosu-Yeboah had hard choices to make and a hard road to follow, but they realized early on that there was only one route for them.
I believe that I get my strength from my mother. And I think if my mother looked down from heaven, she will be very proud of me. And that makes me feel happy in my life.
I found my strength by saying and believing I am not my body. I am a man. I'm alive. As alive as anybody who's jamming a basketball or scoring a touchdown or, you know, hugging their child. Being alive is being alive. It's a good thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am here tonight because of these two men. I am honored to present the 2005 Arthur Ashe Award to Jim McLaren and Emmanuel Fosu-Yeboah.
Thank you. I have to say that I really didn't feel worthy of being here until this morning at the Mondrian, who's been wonderful to me. I was at 6 a.m. and I wanted to turn the air conditioner up a little bit, so I actually fell trying to get in my wheelchair and I bruised a rib. And I thought, great, I got to get taped up before the big game, so I'll be okay. So I feel like, okay, it's okay to be here. I just quickly want to thank ESPN, the Challenged Athletes Foundation for putting us together, for helping Emmanuel's gift become a possibility that's going to change people's lives. And I don't find it coincidental that Arthur Ashe, whose body has only left this earth, not his spirit, died. He died 4 months before I broke my neck, and then 10 years later, this man from Ghana comes across to meet me across the Atlantic. So you all tell me, is that a gift or a tragedy? And I think you know the answer. Thank you so much. So many of us in this room, so many of us transcend sport. And I love a favorite quote of mine from Maya Angelou when she says, you know, a hero is anyone truly intent on making this a better place to live. And this room is full of them, and my brother here is obviously one as well. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you very much for coming this evening. My seniors athletes, I meet you are here. And I believe that me and Jim, we will take with our steps and do more things. And I believe that my country, Ghana, they are going to be proud of me, and I'm going to continue to do whatever I wanted to do in my future before I die. Thank you very much, and I will thank Charles Foundation and all of you here. Thank you very much. Thank you.